officially call to order this regular education meeting. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be led by Noah Lee, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Suzette, can you please do roll call?
Okay. Did you want to do the tribute first?
Oh, yep, I'm sorry. I'll do the tribute first. So, this is a tribute to our outgoing board members. First, I will do Ms. Stephanie Emons. Whereas the conclusion of public service of Stephanie Emons, Board Member of Education, School District of West Dallas, West Milwaukee, on Monday, May 10th, 2021, will historically be recorded as being a total of 6 years of significant educational contribution to this district. And whereas she has, with exceptional spirit, self-dedication, and a community-minded philosophy, contributed significantly to the development and enrichment of the education and recreational programs of the school district, to the end that those who participated have grown in knowledge, skills, and the enjoyment and living. And whereas, during her tenure of service to the school district and community, she did provide strong leadership, guidance, management skills to improve the instructional and recreational programs while filling the following positions as a school board member: 3 years as president, 1 year as vice president, 1 year as treasurer. Community Chair Committee for Communications, Public Relations, 1 year. Community Vice Chair, Business Services, 2 years. Learning and Technology, 1 year. Student Services, 1 year. Stephanie also provided countless hours of research and effort in the constant improvement of educational and recreational programs for the school district. And whereas her example of public comment, unfailing energy, and intellectual curiosity has provided inspiration and admiration to all those who have touched by association with her, and in particular to her many Board of Education colleagues and members of the educational profession. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the Board of Education of the School District of West Dallas, West Milwaukee, honor this woman for her notable contributions to the fields of public education and public recreation by her self-dedication to the principle of public service, her professional integrity, her personal interest in educational and recreational needs of the school district, and that this expression of her warm appreciation and affection be formally recorded and presented to Stephanie Emons. And be it further resolved that a copy of the testimonial to be formally recorded in the official minutes of the School Board of Education of West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. Stephanie? Christine and Gary cannot be with us, but I'm still going to share their commitments and a tribute. Christine Klug served as Committee Vice Chair to College and Career Readiness for 3 years, Financial Stability and Efficacy for 1 year, a committee member of Financial Stability and Efficacy for 2 years. Gary Schultz served as Clerk for 3 years, Committee Chair Recreation and Community Service for 1 year, Committee Vice Chair, Financial Stability and Efficacy for 2 years, Committee Member, College and Career Readiness for 2 years, and Communication and Community Relations for 1 year. We thank Gary and Christine for their service to the school board. Okay, now can we do roll call, please, Suzanne?
Yes. Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Ustroff?
Here.
Mrs. Kaiser?
Here.
Mr. Keller?
Here.
Ms. Deal?
Here.
Mrs. Carr? Here. Mr. Sikich?
Present.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
And Vice President Justin.
Here. Okay, and we'll do our election of officers, and I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Lexman for that.
Good evening, everybody. Under board policy, the election of officers starts with the election of the president annually, and in our board policy, then the superintendent facilitates that election. And then the rest of it is facilitated by the new president. And so we call for nominations. I'll call for nominations 3 times, and we'll close nominations. If there is only one nominee, then we do by consent. And if there's more than one nominee, then under board policy, it's a secret ballot. And Suzette is ready to hand out little slips and keep track of the votes that way. So with that, I will open the floor for nominations for school board president. The floor is open.
I would like to nominate Noah Lee for president.
Second.
Okay, are there any other nominations for president? Any other nominations for president? And we'll close the nominations, so they're with just one nominee, so then it's by unanimous consent, so everybody in support, say aye.
Aye.
And that's it. So congratulations, Noah. You can take it from there.
All right, now that I don't know anything.
Don't mess up.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your votes of confidence for me. Oh, okay. Thank you. Got it. All right. So next, we have election of the board vice president. So I now open nominations for board vice president. And I would like to nominate Brian Keller.
I second that.
Are there any other nominations for board vice president? Any other nominations for board vice president? All right, all those in favor of Brian Keller as the board vice president, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, congratulations, Brian. I would now like to open nominations for the board treasurer.
I'd like to nominate Heather Justin.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board treasurer? Any other nominations for board treasurer? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to now open nominations for board clerk.
I would like to nominate Kristen Kaiser.
I'll second.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board clerk? Any other nominations for board clerk? All right, there are no other nominations. If everyone would like to nominate and vote for Kristen Kaiser as board clerk, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, congratulations, Kristen.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on to agenda item 6.
Yep.
Which is the declaration of public notice.
Yep.
Which is,
Yep, just read it. Number 6 on there.
we didn't have public. Oh,
Probably closer to the top.
yeah, I was gonna say
It's probably like number
proper
2.
notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meetings laws of the state of Wisconsin. Are there any additions or modifications to the agenda?
We have no changes this evening.
Okay, so then we'll move on to public comments. So if there's anyone here who would like to address the board, as a reminder, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and you have to give your name and your address. Don't know if we have any public comments this evening.
And then Mike mentioned that they should put it in the chat. Anybody on Zoom?
Oh yes, if there's anyone listening who would like to make a public comment, you can please put your name in the chat for Zoom, and we can recognize you and allow you to speak. I don't see Zoom, so I'm not sure. Is there anyone? No one's in chat? Okay. Well, with no one in person and no one in chat, we will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Lexman.
Great, thank you. So this evening we'll start with our legislative update, or sorry, I'm skipping one now. The updated returning to school plan. So, that brought it up for us. So like we've been doing, quick update on how things are going with returning to school. And this one's a little bit quicker, just because there haven't been a lot of changes since the last time we talked. So again, just touching on guiding principles, where we are with health metrics. I'm gonna, again, do a touch on mask requirements and the reminder from Children's Wisconsin. It is something where we do get some inquiries from parents now, especially that it's getting warmer outside and kids are playing more outside, and when are we going to change our mask requirement, just like other school districts are starting to consider. I'll talk a little bit about vaccination clinics in schools that are starting this week, and then of course we end with next steps. So a little bit of where we are with our guiding principles, right? Safety and well-being. And that's really what's driving our continued focus on the mitigation practices. Making sure kids are engaged in learning, being responsive, and again, practicality of implementation has been guiding us. So on the metric front, there's some encouraging news, and we did get the latest data from the health department a little bit earlier this afternoon. And so now we've got a little bit of a trend in the right direction, right? So for a few weeks there, things were not looking encouraging, and so we've shifted back to essentially kind of where we were when we decided to go back to school. And so that's all good news for us, and hopefully the impact of vaccines are starting to show up, and the fact that we're spending more time outdoors rather than indoors. The internal metrics continue to look good. So it's the lowest we've had in a while for internal positive case rate, although we still have good numbers of students in particular that have to quarantine. Now this is down, the student number of kids that have to quarantine is down just a handful from the last time I reported this, but it's stayed pretty stable. So we're in the range of the 200s, low 200s seems to be kind of where we're living right now. And again, that's also, for me, I think a reason why we want to continue with our mitigation practices, so that we don't see that get worse, because that is a lot of kids out of school when they really want to be in school. Right? So the mask requirement, right? So the first bullet there is what we have published on the website, and all the communication is essentially what the board's action was, plus a little bit of what we've added, right? So the expectation that people are wearing masks in our schools, on our properties, in buses, on grounds, at athletic events, even if they're outdoors. That expectation follows. But I think it's important, the second bullet, we are monitoring guidance from the CDC, for the Wisconsin Department of Health Services, our local health department, so that if it changes, we'll bring that back to the board for consideration. Right? So guidance starts to change. Our health department has twice now, since other school districts are considering changing their mask requirements, our health department has reached out to me saying, are you considering any changes? And my answer at this point is I'd have to bring it back to the board. And the set of practices we put in place, our goal is to keep kids in school and keep schools open. And so I'm hesitant to do anything that puts that at risk right now, given that we're 4 weeks from the end of a school year. And so, but again, if our health department says it's time to have a conversation about maybe changing your mask requirement when kids are outdoors, then I'll bring it back for all of you to consider. Again, the reminder from the medical community, I think just it's powerful in their statement. I shared this a couple weeks ago, right? So they're really optimistic about the data, and I think we're showing that locally. But again, they're telling us keep wearing the masks, keep all the mitigation practices in place. So COVID vaccinations, clinics in schools, and this is kind of exciting. It's new for us, and it's actually happening this week. The health department reached out last week, but all of a sudden saying, we can do clinics in your school. And so I want to thank Beth, the principals, our school nurses, for just really, I think, scrambling, but doing it in a way that was really smart, efficient. The communication went out last week with the emergency youth authorization forms, with the permission slips that parents have to sign. School secretaries are ready to take those in and schedule. These are all scheduled appointments during the day. So it's not kids just lining up. And so this is now students 16 to 18 years old, even though, there's news today that Pfizer is going to be approved going down to 12-year-olds. we thought since we have this in place, starting at 16, that's what we planned for, that's what the health department has planned for, we're not gonna try to suddenly add, you know, in a matter of just 2 days from now. And we'll see how this goes. A little bit of what Matt Lesser shared with Beth is that he's hearing from a lot of students that already have been vaccinated, right? So the demand may not be as big as we anticipate. But, you know, if it gives access to another 10, another 20, another 50 students, great. It's worth all the effort. And so as this goes forward, and we'll learn some lessons here, and if there's opportunities yet this year to do clinics in our intermediate, and again in the high schools for younger students, we'll certainly now know how to organize that. And then next steps. So we continue with our end-of-year event planning. So, you know, the students seem pretty happy the way prom is kind of roll out. And even this past Saturday, we had the FAC committee over at Central, and Matt Lesser and I were standing on the side talking. We're like, yeah, you can easily spread 200 kids out in here in the big field house. So it seems like they have a plan that that will be both fun and safe. We are supporting like field day or high interest days that are really part of the traditions here in our elementary schools in particular, but we're trying to ask principals to organize events, the games, whatever they are, in groups of 50 or fewer. So to try to still adhere to some of that guidance, even though we know all the kids are in the school, this is gonna be pretty active kind of events, and usually they're all school. So these are big events with all the kids kind of clumped up together. So a little bit of an adjustment there. Again, summer school planning continues, and we're looking forward to that. And then again, we're just monitoring all of the guidance. And like I said earlier, we'll expand access to vaccinations as they're authorized for younger children. And as soon as we kind of get the real green light, we'll figure that out. So that's where we are with the returning to school update. So are there any questions for me?
Does anyone on the board have any questions?
Okay, then we'll go on to 9.2, the legislative update. So the Joint Finance Committee has begun the process of reworking Governor Tony Evers' proposed budget. One of the GOP-run committee's first actions will be to approve a motion that would strip more than 380 items out of the governor's proposal. So according to the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, some of the impacts of that action would be to forego $2.4 billion in federal aid and to nix $1 billion in proposed tax hikes. The committee also expects to introduce a substitute amendment, taking the bill to base to reflect current levels of state spending. Base year doubled, regularly used as a starting point for budget comparisons, amounts to $83 billion in all funds for 21 to 2023. It's a 2-year budget cycle. So Evers proposed spending more than $91 billion in all funds in the budget he released in February. The start date bill has cleared the Senate Education Committee. So that committee recommended passage of Senate Bill 182 relating to the commencement of fall classes in public schools. It moved on a unanimous 7-0 vote. So beginning with the 2022-23 school term, the bill would eliminate the prohibition against public schools starting fall classes before September 1. So, and we support this. It would give us some additional flexibility as we consider kind of each calendar year. And then Assembly Bill 162, Senate Bill 177 received unanimous committee votes. This is relating to the timing of equalization aid payments to school districts and have received unanimous votes recommending passage by the Assembly State Affairs Committee and the Senate Education Committee respectively. So this, when we've talked about this before, this would balance out the payments that we get from the state rather than having peaks and valleys where we have to pursue, or in the past, had to pursue short-term borrowing to support ongoing costs. So 9.3 is the district recognitions. So at Franklin Elementary School, they would like to recognize Tammy Maydern for her dedication to our Franklin community, where kindness and support shines through each day. She knows each parent's name, and her energetic spirit is contagious. We're thankful for our amazing school secretary. At General Mitchell Elementary, we'd like to recognize and thank the entire General Mitchell Elementary School community and the City of West Allis Forestry Department for their support and involvement in the creation of our school forest. This has been a massive project spanning 3 years, and we're happy to report new trees were planted last Friday. And I was out there, I didn't make it on Friday, I was out there earlier last week, and talking with Steve Carr, who's helped quite a bit in the background support this and get this. And he was talking to a young man, he says, well, wait, little guy. He said, so we get to actually like plant the tree? And he's like, yeah, you're gonna go out there and plant. And he said, so when I go to high school, will it still be here? And so it was
Yeah.
a great opportunity. I was like, it was very sweet.
And all the kids know which one's their tree. It's really cute.
Yeah, yep. So at Nathan Hale High School, congratulations to the entire Nathan High School community, students, staff, and families, that they have once again been recognized by U.S. News and World Report on their best high schools list for 2021. Of the 540 high schools statewide and the 24,000 reviewed nationally, Nathan Hale ranked 204th in the state and 6,856th nationally. By earning a ranking in the top 40%, Nathan Hale's achieved status as a U.S. News Best High School 2021. Nathan Hale's also excited to announce that senior Jennifer Doyle was matched with Wesley College in Massachusetts via Questbridge. As a result, Jennifer will be receiving a full ride to Wesley to major in philosophy. Congratulations to senior Abigail Wergelet, Nathan Hale varsity football kicker, for being recognized as the Fox 6 High School Hotshot Athlete of the Week on Friday, April 9th, 2021. And congratulations to Nathan Hale football team for being named Journal Sentinel Team of the Week for the week of April 25th. And on Friday, May 7th, Nathan Hale High School football player senior Easton Scherer was voted statewide football player of the week on WizSports.net. And congratulations to Nathan Hale senior Joshua Tershon for being nominated for the AM 1250, the Fan Current Electric Superhero of the Week. He has interviewed live with host Mike McGivern and recognized as an outstanding senior athlete who has made a positive impact on his school. And at Shared Journeys, congratulations to Lisa Cola. She was featured as part of Spectrum One's Everyday Heroes series. This piece is out on social media, posted on our banner, and it will be in our upcoming newsletter. And then for Staff Appreciation Week, in the past year, it has certainly underscored the critical role teachers play in the lives of our students, families, and communities. Spurred by a public health emergency that continues to bring many daily stressors and unforeseen challenges, our teachers reinvented the way they educate our students, ensuring learning continues. The ways in which teachers continue to inspire, even when faced with such uncertainty, is nothing short of amazing. We are ever thankful for our teachers and staff members. Their dedication to education makes a difference in the lives of our learners and their families. And then a couple updates for 9.4. So we did have some public comment at our last meeting. That was Monday, April 26th. And there were comments related to our budget and our mill rate. And as community members commonly refer to as school taxes, right? So there were really comments about because enrollment's going down, we expect that taxes will go down. And it's not necessarily the case, right? So we currently project that the mill rate for the school district portion of the local property tax bills will go down from the 2021-22 school year, right? The mill rate is projected to go from $8.75 to somewhere between $8.05 and $8.21. So that was the kind of projection that Caitlin shared with all of us. So that's $8.05 to $8.21 per $1,000 of equalized value of a home. And this is where it gets to be a little bit tricky to help people understand sometimes. It has to be kept in mind that though the school mill rate is dropping again, that does not automatically turn into a smaller tax bill from the schools. Given the real estate market and increasing home values, it is possible that homes may be assessed at a higher value and the overall tax bill from our school district goes up for a specific property, even if the mill rate goes down. Right? So it's important for the board to kind of hear that, because you may get questions this round, given what the real estate market is doing. And even though our mill rate goes down, houses are worth more, so their bill could actually go up. We also heard some comments on the 26th about how we should live within our budget. So we agree with this entirely, but we want to note that we have had a balanced budget and even surplus budgets for 5 years in a row now. And that has allowed us to pay off debt early, and that returns dollars to classrooms. And so our goal is to continue with our balanced budgets. And then lastly, so on this past Saturday, like I mentioned, our facility advisory community team met for the first time in person and toured both Central and Hale. We're working to develop a better understanding of both the challenges and possibilities of remodeling each of these facilities into updated, modern schools that better support today's learners. FAC will finalize recommendations related to the high school options and then focus on intermediate and finally elementary recommendations. But because we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence leading to these recommendations, the team is going to need a little more time. So we had originally targeted to bring recommendations to the board here in June, and we're now aiming at July to bring the facility master plan recommendations forward. We just think to do our homework well, to make sure we've done our due diligence, so that when it is time to go out in front of the community with the plan, we've considered all of the options and know why we're kind of moving in one direction or another. And so that concludes the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Lexman. I'll move on to the board president report. We'll start with the review of the board calendar. Today is Monday, May 10th. We have a regular Board of Education meeting, immediately following by a closed session meeting. On Monday, May 17th at 6 p.m., we have a workshop, Financial Stability and Efficiency 2020-2021 Budget Amendment, and a College and Career Readiness, ELA, Science, Social Studies, and Life Readiness Adoptions that we'll be going through. On Monday, May 24th at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting, and immediately following, we'll have a workshop, College Career Readiness Technology Plan, and another one on financial stability and employee engagement, the compensation model, which I'm really eager to hear about. And then finally, on June 1st, Tuesday, June 1st, we have from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. our employee recognition event, which is going to be at New Berlin Hills Clubhouse. And so looking forward to that, to be able to celebrate all our employees throughout the year and those who are retiring and leaving us, unfortunately. All right, I'd like to move on to item 10.2. So this is the appointment of our district parliamentarian, our CISA 1 delegate, our WASB delegate, and our WASB alternate. So I'm not sure if we just, so.
I will volunteer for parliamentarian unless somebody else wants to.
Yeah, listen. So
You're
Jeff
really good.
has been our parliamentarian for a number of years now, does a fantastic job making sure that we're staying within our P's and Q's. So
Thank you.
I would be more than happy to support Jeff as a parliamentarian. Anyone else, if there's nothing else? So Jeff, thank you very much. We'll have you down as parliamentarian again for this
Thank
year.
you.
And then for the CISA 1 delegate, so that was myself before, but I would like to open up for volunteers. If someone else would like to be the CISA 1 delegate, not that I don't want to do it, but.
Can you maybe share what it is, because maybe some of our newer members don't know?
Certainly. So CISA is the main education group that we fall into as far as this region. And each board will have one person that goes there and can vote on certain things that are involved with decisions that CISA is doing. So for me, there was a meeting that I attended, which was at the beginning of COVID last year, but was at school in Pewaukee, and basically just discussed some of the things that they're looking at doing or things they want to do. And it also is, as we at our last meeting, we talked about the Board of Control. So that has one additional meeting than the annual meeting that CISA has, basically to kind of talk about what things are going to be going on at that annual meeting. So if you go at the CISA delegate, we wanted to say that we would be able to look for a seat there. And so if someone was going to be the delegate, you would be that person who would be on the Board of Control if it was elected. Any questions? For the most part, it's very low volume as far as responsibilities that you have to do, but it's important that our district has a say and something that happens, since this can affect what services that are available to us and what things that we would be doing as a district. So, does anyone?
I would be willing to represent us.
Jane? Okay, great. Well, if Jane's willing, I'm willing to let Jane do it. So we'll put Jane down as the CISA 1 delegate. All right, thank you very much. All right, so we'll move on to the WASB delegate and the WASB alternate. So I believe, Kristen, you're our delegate from last year?
Yeah, and I was unable to fulfill because of personal reasons, but I would like a chance again because I don't intend to have those same reasons next year. But Jeff was a wonderful in my place.
Well, that sounds great. So,
Yeah.
so Kristen wants to be WASB delegate, and as long as we're in agreement on that, I think that would be absolutely fine. Do we have a volunteer for the alternate? So if, in the very extremely rare circumstance that Kristen wouldn't be able to make it this
Again.
year, an alternate for that position.
If nobody wants to, I'll do that again.
Okay, Jeff? Anyone else?
I was gonna say I could do it if,
That's fine.
okay.
Okay,
Yep.
Amy?
Mhm.
All right. So we have our WASB delegate and alternate. Very good. All right, so I will continue right on down here. Item 10.3, our board committee reports. We'll start with our Communication and Community Relations Committee with Mr. Sikich.
I'll be addressing three separate issues that we're working on: the Education Foundation dissolution, our logo, and the project website. Our last meeting was attended by myself, Kristen Kaiser, Tess Thomas, and Beth Kaler, our director. The Education Foundation dissolution. We're currently working on dissolving our Education Foundation. From its inception, the foundation has struggled as it directly competes with local school and community fundraising efforts. We believe the grassroots efforts are more meaningful and effective at helping our district engage its learning community when additional funding for special projects, or events is needed. Our next action, we are currently working on the dissolution document and the process for distributing assets that we have with the foundation president and our attorney, Mr. Steve Affelt. Our second topic, the website. We approved moving forward with a new website provider called Final Site. Our next action, we are busy with the upfront design process and migration of our online materials. We plan to have our new website available at the start of 21-22 school year. Special thanks to Tess Thomas and Cassie Stanton. They are currently participating in the training required to manage this website. And number three, our logo. Like you are aware, we have the new logo. We are ordering the materials needed to launch the logos for the start of the 21-22 school year. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Does anyone have any questions for the committee about anything that Jeff talked about? Beth, is there anything you wanted to add? No? All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to the Employee Engagement and Culture Committee, Mr. Keller.
All right, contracts are due to building principals tomorrow. They're going to be collected from the buildings on Wednesday, and once the HR team goes through the return contracts, final non-renewal notices will be provided on Thursday, May 13th. Our district overall has been active in hiring new staff for the 21-22 school year. The following buildings currently have or have had postings, and those are Hoover, Central, West, Hale, Madison, Irving, Walker, and Mann. All staff were notified at the end of last week of the end of year payment they will be receiving per the $2 million the board earmarked for the 2021 school year. This was a nice way to cap off Teacher Appreciation Week. In terms of the Compensation Committee, there will be a Compensation Committee meeting tomorrow, May 11th at 4:30. Both Jeff and Caitlin will be providing some final examples of what possible proposed compensation model will look like for individual educators and the committee members. The committee is still set for making a recommendation to the board at the end of the month. Additionally, in our next session, we'll continue discussing the possibility of changing one of the criteria points that are currently listed for the reduction in force matrix rule. So that is possibly something that could be coming to the entire board at some point in the future.
Very good, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for the committee?
Have we received any feedback so far from the teachers on how they felt about receiving that on Friday, or has anybody, or will we have a survey, anything?
I was gonna say, I
mean,
could share something
Will there
about
be
that.
a part of a survey or anything going out, or as to how they felt?
About the compensation or about the,
Yeah, about the $2 million that
Oh.
was divided amongst the teachers.
Yeah, we've gotten some appreciative feedback overall, and I'm sure that will continue to roll in.
Yeah, I've gotten a handful of email, and I got a couple teachers have my cell phone, so they texted right away. It's like, really? It's like, so, I think it has landed well.
And two principals asked me if they could give out letters like that every Friday, because they said it had such a positive impact on morale that they were inquiring if we could do that on a regular basis.
I do know that the Teacher Association were queried about how we wanted to distribute that $2 million. So this is what was in favor of for that. So that's why it was divided the way it was. Anything else? All right. Move on to 10.4, board member reports or community events. Any board members have any community events or things that they attended they would like to talk about, or upcoming events? No? All right. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have item 11.1, approval of minutes from our April 26th meeting. Item 11.2, the employment summary. Item 11.3, supplementary contracts. And item 11.4, which is the approval for continued use of facsimile signatures of the president, treasurer, and clerk. Is there any items that need to be separated out?
No, can I have 11.2, please?
All right, 11.2 separated out. Anybody else? If not, we'll look for a motion to approve 11.1, 11.3, and 11.4.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. And then we'll do 11.2, the employment summary. I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I will be recusing myself.
All right. Heather's recusing. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That passes.
So, no, we're gonna interrupt you just for a second here. I shared this with Heather as the vice president before the meeting, but didn't know who the president was going to be. So we, thank you for the board. You just promoted somebody that Deidre would like to introduce. And she's gonna join us, I believe, via Zoom.
Yep, she's with us now. So it is my great honor to introduce Becky Grease, who has been with us as a teacher, an interventionist or reading specialist, a deeper learning coach, an assistant principal, and probably a list of other duties as assigned over the last several years. And Becky has been selected as our coordinator of student supports in order to replace Diane Lazaridis, who is retiring this year. Becky brings with her a wealth of knowledge around our deeper learning work, project-based learning work, restorative practices. She has earned her PhD in the development of language from an early age, and so she brings a wealth of knowledge that she's going to add to our team. We just wanted to thank Becky and give her an opportunity to introduce herself to the board.
You can all hear me. I am Becky Grease, and I am very excited to take on this new role within the West Dallas West Milwaukee School District as the coordinator of student supports. I look forward to using my expertise and knowledge to benefit the larger school district. Just being in one school, you benefit a small group of people. So I look forward to working with everyone and the families and students and staff throughout the entire district. So thank you.
Great, congratulations.
And if I could add just one more quick note about the employment summary tonight, we also approved 2 Central graduates as new employees to our district as well this evening. So that's really exciting for us.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, well then move on to our action items for this evening, starting with 12.1, school district financial depositories. Caitlin?
All right, so the next 4 items are regular annual items, so I will just point out any changes as we go through each of them. The first one is our school district financial depositories. This one is, the only change on this one is just a minor change. One of our investment accounts has now a new securities designation, so you'll see under the BMO Harris Financial Advisors, there's an LPL Financial following that. That is the only change on the school district financial depositories.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Caitlin about this? If not, we'd look for a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Move on to 12.2, 21-22 Delegation of Leasing Authority.
Alrighty, so this one, no changes on this one, so just an annual item we approve each year. And it just allows us to, us being district administrator, so Dr. Lexman and myself, to negotiate any leases, enter into any leases, extensions or renewals for leases, etc. And just as a side comment, we have one lease that we have in our district, so that is at Parkway. It's currently leased to CISA. So this item is no changes from last year.
Okay, does anyone have any questions regarding this item? If not, look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Move on to item 12.3, release of the 21-22 purchase orders.
Alrighty, and then this one also is an annual item, and the exec summary does note that even though our budget is not approved yet, we do approve the purchase order process, just part of our normal budgeting cycle. Actually, just today, we had a few requests for purchase orders for next year to get started with roofing projects. So again, those wouldn't take place until next year, but we have to get those, some of those bigger items started to get purchased this year so that we can make sure that we stay on top of our regular purchasing schedule, and some of those bigger capital improvements. So this one, again, no changes from last year.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about that? If not, look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. And item 12.4, designating the Southwest Now as the paper to publish board minutes. Dr. Lechman?
Yes, so also an annual item, so this is kind of spring business for school boards. So school boards are required to have, to designate a local newspaper to publish board meeting, board minutes, those kind of things. I do want to point out that there is some legislation moving that may change this in the future so that we'd be able to go to all electronic publishing. That isn't fully passed yet, and then within that, we would still have a 180-day notice to our current, the current site that we use before we'd be able to make a change. So even if that legislation does pass, comes all the way through, we still need this one approved now for us to be able to move forward to access kind of the new opportunity where we wouldn't have to actually spend money to publish anymore. This does cost about $150 a month, so it's not a huge expense, but it could be zero if we can do it electronically through our own platforms. But we do need the approval of the board to continue with what we're required to do under the current legislation, and then we'll make the shifts as they become available.
All right, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions regarding this item? If not, look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So that ends our recording. We'll be taking a 5-minute break, and then we'll move into closed session. I'd like to call this meeting into open session. Need a motion, right? No? Okay. Need a motion? And a second, go to open? Is that correct?
Yep.
Move to go into open session?
Second.
Or roll call vote?
Yep, and I'll take roll here. Mr. Sikich is excused. Mrs. Justum?
Yes.
Mrs. Kaiser?
Yes.
Ms. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Eustra?
Yes.
President Lee?
Yes. All right, so I look for a motion in regards to the item we discussed in closed session.
Motion to move forward with parameters for arrears negotiation as discussed in closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, that passes. Look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. We're closed.